Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In a follow-up to the video review that I posted last week of the Seiko 7017-8000, the black dial on the back right of the screen, I want to follow up with a more common model that I briefly referred to in that quick review. That model is the Seiko Speed-Timer 6139. This is the most common version of the Seiko Speed-Timer, and what in particular makes this the common version in terms of being able to recognize it out on the market is the fact that it has a 30-minute counter for the chronograph at 6 o'clock. This particular one is, again, a 6139. This one is the dash 6012, I believe. It comes on this beautiful original bracelet, which is honestly my favorite watch bracelet I've ever had on my wrist. It's very, very, very comfortable. Unfortunately, it's in poor shape. Some of the links are coming apart. This one is not actually my watch. This belongs to a relative of mine, and it actually needs to be serviced. It's in relatively poor shape, but I wanted to give a brief overview of what a 6139 looks like so that those of you that are interested in the speed timer I showed last week can get a sense of what else is out there in terms of variety. So as we did with the 7017, there are stainless steel models. As you can see here, there are also gold-plated ones. From a collector standpoint, anything gold-plated is not really a good investment. I'm just going to be clear with that. However, the the speed timers in general are, I would say, a pretty good collector watch. I would avoid the gold-plated version, but the 6139 you see here is a good investment overall. And if you could find one in stainless, I would highly recommend you picking it up. The one that I have here is actually pretty rare. I've only ever seen another one like this. In the course of several years, it's been this kind of gold plate on this bracelet. As I mentioned before, the difference between a 6139 and a 7017, for example, is that unlike the 7017, you do have a 30-minute counter at 6 o'clock on the 6139. The other big difference is that the chronograph on the 6139 is not a flyback. And let me shake this one up. There we go. So you can't just reset it whenever you want. You actually have to stop it and then reset it. So unlike with a 7017, you have that flyback option. They're both the same size, which is roughly 41 millimeters. I believe all the speed timers are basically about this size. Both use what's called Seiko's Hardlex crystal. As you can see, this one's got some scratches on it. I don't know the exact vintage of this piece, but I believe the 6139 was made from 69 to 1979. Like the other derivatives of the speed timer, you can change the date and the day of the week by pressing in the recessed crown. As such. And again, the big difference between, or the big tell of a 6139 is the fact that you have a 30-minute counter at 6 o'clock. This one has a day of the week in Spanish and in English. And you'll also notice that there is no seconds hand. A lot of people will just start the chronograph and use the chronograph to tell seconds. However, bear in mind again, there's no truly dedicated seconds hand. So that's kind of a brief overview. Just wanted to give those interested in a Seiko Speed Timer a kind of sense of what other varieties are available out there. Again, the two that we have here are the relatively rare 7017 and the very common 6139. Wonderful watches, terrific values in the Swiss watchmaking, or excuse me, in the entry-level watch market. You have to understand that to get something that's Swiss made with these features is going to cost you several $1,000s. If you're going to go for a recognized nameplate, I should say, you could of course buy an Invicta or something akin that has similar features for about $800 or so, but bear in mind that you can pick one of these up for $100 to a couple hundred. Put this on the wrist here. There we go. There. It's got really nice presence. As I mentioned, this bracelet that they have on this, which is original, is really, really, really comfortable. Like I said, this is my favorite bracelet I've ever worn on a watch. I'm looking for one like this in stainless for my 7017, as I just think that it's phenomenally comfortable. The good thing about the 6139 and all the rest of the speed timers is they actually tell you the model number on the back. So here you can see this is a 6139 dash, I believe that says 6012. So if you're not sure what model you have, you can always read the case back. Granted, sometimes people did replace the case back with one that doesn't match, but for the most part you should be able to tell. These are automatic watches. There is a rotor in here. If you can hear it on camera, it's kind of loud. They are not winding, however, so there's no ability to wind the mainspring by the crown. And they're also non-hacking. What does non-hacking mean? It means that basically once the second hand is started, which in this case is for the chronograph even, if you pull it all the way out, it will not stop. This one did stop because it has no power reserve right now. It's not wound up. It hasn't been worn. But it's non-hacking, and that's okay. That's not a big deal. But again, you've got a really nice automatic chronograph, day date here with a 30-minute counter. And like I said, you can pick one of these up for a few $100s. It's a really good deal. I would recommend you avoid gold-plated models like this one because they're never going to be a good collectible. However, if you can find yourself a decent vintage stainless steel one, I really don't think you're going to regret that purchase. So again, if you're in the market for an automatic chronograph and you're on a limited budget, do yourself a favor. Get on eBay, visit some vintage watch dealers and find yourself a good condition Seiko Speed-Timer. If we get this one on the left serviced, I'll be sure to put another video up so you can see it when it's in better condition. This thing has never been serviced. So again, great watches. Highly recommend you pick one up. Please put any sort of questions or comments in below. And I'm not an expert on these, so if you have some information about the Seiko Speed-Timers you'd like to share, please feel free to do so. I appreciate your feedback, and please feel free to comment, rate, and subscribe. Thanks again.